What's up, everyone? How are you doing? Today's the day. It's an exciting day. The Champions League draw. It's getting back in action. Now, we aren't getting into the action yet, but I mean, draw day is like it's like a match day in itself, right? You're finding out who you're playing throughout the rest of the season. And I call it, we can call it a season, can't we? I was thinking to myself, no, group stage, whatever. No, it's the league phase now. It's basically a little mini season fighting to be at the top of that league phase standings, as Liverpool did last season. We'll get to that in just a second, but today it's going down in a few minutes here. We'll see how UEFA sort of draws things out. Sometimes they want to play tons of videos. These are all the amazing things we've done, etc. Sometimes they just want to get right into the action because the draw takes a little bit more time now. But as I was saying, you want to finish at the top of the league phase. And there are a few teams who actually just made it into the league phase just yesterday. The last 2 days, actually, Benfica qualified. Karabakh from Azerbaijan qualified. We had a team from Kazakhstan, Kairat Almaty, first time in for them. First time in for a Belgian side, Union Saint-Gilloise. First time in for, there's another one, Paphos, a team from Cyprus. So it's an interesting field this time. It's a very interesting field. I'm very excited to see how those teams do. I know a lot of them will probably get walloped, the new ones, I mean. But there's always those stories, right? As we saw yesterday with United getting dumped out of the competition by a fourth-tier side in Grimsby. You never know what's going to happen in a competition like this. And last year's competition saw Liverpool at the top. Now, of course, we know that Liverpool didn't end up winning the thing. They ended up going out against PSG. And it's the kind of thing where when I'm looking at it, had they won that shootout, had they gone through and won that shootout, I feel like they could have gone on to win it all. Definitely could have gone on to win it all. And, they're in there in pot A with PSG, of course. PSG, another one of the favorites, another team that just came absolutely alive towards the end of the season. They were always strong in Liga, of course, but they had a turning point around December where they just came alive. That match against Manchester City put a spark under them in the Champions League. And then from there, it was just team after team after team that they were taking out. They get past Liverpool. They dominated Liverpool, let's remember. Despite going through just on the shootouts, they absolutely dominated Liverpool. In the first leg, yes. In the second leg, Liverpool did have their opportunities of their own. Let's be honest there. Liverpool could have won it as well. But from there, going up against Aston Villa, could have gone out against Villa, could have gone out against Arsenal, but they continued well thanks to Gigi Donnarumma, who's now on his way to maybe Man City. We'll see, going against one of Liverpool's rivals. Yeah, so Liverpool, definitely a team that you cannot count out. PSG, definitely a team that you cannot count out. And as let's just go through the pots here quickly, just to give you guys an idea. Now, of course, you know that teams in each pot can't get drawn against each other, right? There's another rule in play when it comes to the sort of the draw procedure. Teams from the same country can't get drawn against each other, and you can't get drawn against more than two teams from the same country. Now, of course, those rules can be broken slightly if they have to, but that's in an extraordinary case and would probably only happen towards the end of the draw. They'll be able to enforce those early on. But like I said, let's go through them. PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Inter, Chelsea, Dortmund, and Barcelona, all the big boys that you'd expect, all in pot A. Then in pot B, this is where you get the teams that can really mess up a draw, right? Because Arsenal, they should be a pot A team based on how they play, but they're in pot B. So they're going to be paired up with any one of those teams in pot A. And then you have Leverkusen, you have Atletico Madrid, Benfica, Atalanta, Villarreal. They're back. Villarreal is back. Juventus, Frankfurt, and Club Brugge, the first of the two Belgian sides. So those teams, all very, very difficult. Moving on to pot C, as we now see that the draw is beginning to begin. The start has come. As I said, they're showing all sorts of historic videos, etc. So we will get back to that once they start getting into the meat and potatoes of the draw. But pot C, Tottenham, they're back after winning Europa League. Should they be there based on how they finished in the Premier League? No, of course not. But you win that Europa League competition, you get straight into the Champions League. So Tottenham are here, and actually they're looking pretty good under Thomas Frank right now, aren't they? Thomas Frank has shown already that he can put his imprint on this team. And yes, I know Ange Postecoglou started really well also at Tottenham, and then things really fell off. injuries didn't help at all. But Thomas Frank's way of playing seems to be a bit more sustainable, not as open. So Tottenham's a team that I'm really going to keep my eye on in this competition. You have PSV and Ajax, two Dutch sides, Napoli, the champions of Serie A. You have Sporting, the champions of Portugal. You have Olympiacos, you have Slavia Praha, you have Bodo Glimt, another one of the debutants from Norway. They are a team that's actually located above the Arctic Circle. So away days against them are going to be very interesting, aren't they? As we saw in the Europa League last year. In fact, Tottenham and Bodo Glimt played against each other. Tottenham went through to the final, of course. Pot D, the final pot. We have FC Copenhagen or Copenhagen, AS Monaco, Ansu Fati and Paul Pogba at AS Monaco. Interesting. Plus Eric Dyer. Interesting there. You also have Galatasaray, who have been signing all kinds of crazy talent, such as Victor Osimhen, Leroy Sané from Bayern Munich. Then you have Union Saint-Gilloise, the second Belgian team that I was talking about. And hey, for some North American representation here, we have Promise David, the Canadian, at Union Saint-Gilloise, doing absolutely fantastic there. Karabakh, Azerbaijani team, they got in yesterday. Athletic Club from Spain, very, very good as always. And then, of course, we have Newcastle, Paphos, the Cyprian side. Is it Cypriotian? I think it's Cypriotian, a team from Cyprus. And Karat Almaty from Kazakhstan. Newcastle, that's a team that's also going to be very interesting because Alex Isak, of course, is going to be one of the players that everyone's going to be watching. And a lot of their success is going to hinge upon that. Now, some of the teams, I'm going to jump back to sort of pot A here and look at Real Madrid here, because this is a team that I see as one of the ones that's going to be sort of seeking revenge this season. They're looking for redemption after crashing out against Arsenal, 5-1 on aggregate, got smoked by them. That's pretty unbecoming of the record holders, right? Brought in Kylian Mbappe that season, but we're sort of at the end of their cycle with Ancelotti. Xabi comes in this summer, and they've had a positive start to life in La Liga. Not the most difficult opponents, but no complaints can be had. And Kylian Mbappe, he already has 3 goals in 2 matches, plus designated free kick taker and penalty taker for Real Madrid this season. So I think that Kylian Mbappe is going to go absolutely nuclear this season, because the other side of it is that it looks as if Xabi Alonso was going to build around Kylian Mbappe and try to cater to him. He's not going to do what Ancelotti did, which was kind of try to serve both of those players, you know? He tried to fit them both in. It didn't work. Mbappe is the guy who you have to be catering to. As you can see, he's 2 starts, 3 goals from 13 shots, 5 on target. 3 goals from 5 on target. So he's being efficient with his finishing. And the yellow card in there as well. But like I was saying, he's the guy who you have to build around. This guy scored a hat-trick in a World Cup final, for goodness sake. He's showing more confidence at Real Madrid, a lot of insiders are saying. And I'm liking the looks of how they can build around him. You have Goulet, who can put the ball on a plate. You have Mastantuono, who's looking very good down the right, that young guy. You have whoever it may be on the left, right? So Real Madrid is the team that's looking for redemption, just as their rivals Barcelona are looking for redemption. They thought that they were in the Champions League final last year. They were there. They were there, basically. Then some madness, too many players forward, coughing the ball up in your own end. And what is he, 37-year-old center back ends you? Acerbi ends you? That would have been quite the final, PSG versus Barcelona. I would have liked to have seen that. Young Lamine Yamal playing in a final. Granted, he played in the Euros final and was shining. And he is the player that can single-handedly win games for them, right? Last season, he went from a very good player to suddenly looking like the best right winger in the world, in my opinion. Some are even saying Ballon d'Or worthy season for him if we're looking at the award for what it is. Best player in the world, not guy who scored the most or got the most assists or won the most trophies, right? If you look at it from that pure point of view, you can make an argument for Lamine Yamal. Regardless, the season is a really big one. A big one, because there's even more scrutiny on him, as we've seen with his life off of the pitch since turning 18. I think we all forget how young he is, right? I mean, how ridiculous his ability is for his age at this point. But not only for Barcelona, but there's the World Cup summer this year. So my money is on Lamine Yamal. This is my big prediction for Lamine Yamal. He's going to pop off for both Barcelona and Spain. Help them. I don't know if he'll help them win the World Cup necessarily. I think he'll help them to a deep run in the World Cup. I mean, with him in the team, anything can happen. And I think he'll help Barcelona to many trophies this season as well. And Lamine Yamal will win the 2026 Ballon d'Or. Now, his buddy Rafinha, they've already started to link up. They're looking good as well. Rafinha, I mean, picking up where he left off, that sort of telepathic connection between the two is fantastic. Now, we have Thrasher asking, or saying, sorry, stating that Cole Palmer could be winning the Ballon d'Or this year. Now, Chelsea is one of the interesting teams this season. I kind of have Chelsea or see Chelsea as a dark horse team in this competition. I say that because despite not being at their best the past few years, they certainly have the talent to go far in this competition. And part of the reason why is this man that you see on screen right here, Cole Palmer. Cold Palmer. When you have him, the attack is not going cold, right? Mind you, he went a little bit cold last season. That's it for the cold. We'll stop saying that. But he came back alive towards the end of it. Towards the end of that season, especially in the Conference League final, he helped turn that final around. And in the Club World Cup, of course, right? When you have him playing with João Pedro, Pedro Neto, Estevan, who looks very scary, Chelsea's attack in general looks great. I think this past summer, I mean, they showed how good they can be in a tournament. They won the Conference League, they won the Club World Cup. Some teams below them, okay, sure. But they will for sure make the knockout phase. And depending on the draw from there, do not count them out of this competition. Chelsea are a team that you cannot sleep on. I know that people like to clown on them for how much they spend and this, that, and the other, but they are a team that you cannot sleep on in this competition. They've shown that they know how to win cup competitions. They already have a record of 1 win, 1 draw. They smashed West Ham, didn't they? Look, Chelsea is a team that they're coming up against Fulham, one of their rivals, West London rival there. They're a team that you cannot sleep on. I think that Chelsea are going to be very, very good. Now, a team that I'm not so sure on, if we can move on from Chelsea here, a team that I'm not so sure on is actually Manchester City. Manchester City is a bit of a weird one. I mean, look, they're going to be, if we're talking revenge as we have been, if we're, I mean, if we're to take them seriously this season, they need to absolutely up their defense. Because I don't know how I feel about them. I'm not confident that they'll be a top side. I mean, we did this show a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at the Premier League and we were previewing the Premier League. I had them in fourth place. I don't think that they'll make top three. And fourth place is low by their standards. Europe is different, of course. You can always go on a cup run, and they have a fantastic attack, which helps. Erling Haaland, for example, is lethal. He's shown major signs of improving other parts of his game, his passing, his heading, to offer more to his teammates, to be that kind of guy that can sort of set up his teammates as well as finishing off goals. He already has 49 goals in this competition. Like this, his record in the Champions League is unreal. He loves playing in the Champions League. 49 goals, and he's done that in just 48 appearances. So with him in the attack, it's sorted, right? And then someone like Ryan Cherki, who we just saw on screen a moment ago, someone like Ryan Cherki behind him, kind of providing those passes that nobody else can see. Tijani Reinders out there. Their attack looks good, but the defense is struggling, as we saw against Tottenham again. The midfield does not look convincing without Rodri once again. And there's a huge question mark in goal. Who will play there? Will it be Trafford, who looked a bit shaky? Will it be Ederson? Will he end up staying, even though he's been linked to Turkey forever? Will Gigio Donnarumma arrive? If he does, we spoke about this last week for anyone who's tuning in once again, does that change how Manchester City play? Pep Guardiola said, I think it was even last week, that he needs his goalkeepers to save and to play with the ball at their feet, to be able to help with their distribution. I don't know that Donnarumma is that guy. Now, if they're looking at their defense and their midfield and they're saying, look, we don't have a chance at winning games with this defense, or at least against top opposition. We just need someone to bail us out, as Donnarumma did last season for PSG against Arsenal, against Aston Villa. Maybe that's the thinking there. But Manchester City, I don't know. I think it's going to be another tough one for them. Ken saying, why is Napoli not in pot A? I think they should be. Ken, the reason for that being is that they use this sort of the club rankings that UEFA has, the coefficient rankings that they have. So Napoli, based on their performance in the Champions League, doesn't make it into pot A. Pot C seems a little bit crazy to me, even me. I thought that they would be in pot B. They are a trap team. Pot C has some major trap teams. Tottenham, Napoli, maybe Sporting, we'll see. Um, in fact, why don't we get into it before we talk about Napoli? Why don't we get into it? Let's talk a little bit about Tottenham because they are a team that back in the Champions League, of course, despite their terrible bottom half of the table finish last season under Ange Postecoglou. But the last time they played in this competition was 3 years ago now, the 22-23 season. I think that expectations were low for Tottenham at the end of last season, right? I think everyone thought, oh God, how are they going to do in the Champions League? They'll win sort of those matches in your Kazakhstans and Azerbaijans, with all due respect. But since bringing in Thomas Frank, now people are starting to believe that they can win other matches as well, as they showed against Manchester City, where Manchester City didn't look bad, but Tottenham bringing in talents like Mohamed Kudus and potentially Xavi Simons, as we're seeing in the news right now, potentially Xavi Simons. Things are looking up. Look at that. 2 wins from 2, 5 goals scored, 2 clean sheets. Should they avoid injuries? They were torched by them last season. I mean, Thomas Frank has shown that he is a very, very good manager who can adapt to things. He's never managed in this competition, excuse me, only in the Europa League back in the day. But things are looking promising at Spurs all of a sudden. Now, Ange started well. As I said, Thomas Frank could fall off a cliff, but like I said, it seems more sustainable. Here are the standings, guys, from last season, just to sort of jog your memory. A team that finished in 15th in the league phase ended up winning it all. PSG there with my team, Benfica. This is not a Benfica jersey. Don't know why I'm smacking the batch, but my team, Benfica, right behind them. Liverpool near the top. Barcelona near the top. Arsenal near the top. Those teams, and Inter, all of those teams could have won it, if you ask me. Atletico Madrid had a very good league phase, but kind of fell off. And Atletico Madrid is one of the teams that's very confusing this season. We'll see how they do. There's a lot of change there. They made a ton of signings. It seems like they're a team that's constantly trying to shape into something else, and then they revert back to their old style of playing under Diego Simeone. I mean, not completely old because it has evolved over the years. So the baseline has evolved as well. But they're a weird team. Really, really tough to call. Now, looking at these standings, last season, if you want to look at what it takes to get into the top 8, because remember the top 8 teams got a bye into the round of 16 and didn't have to play that playoff round, which came directly after the league phase. What it took last season was about 16 points. It was 16 points to get into the top 8. So we're looking at about 5 wins and a draw type of thing. So that's what teams will be aiming for in order to get. And now, of course, that can change. It can get lower, of course. But that's about what you're looking for is getting 5 wins out of your 8 matches in order to have a chance at being in the top 8. And then from there, we'll see. Now, to get into the top 24, which is the cutoff, 11 points. So we had teams about 3-3 as a record, 3 wins, a couple of draws, and they got in there. But one of the teams that we see there, Bayern Munich, who finished in 12th last time. They, of course, are in pot A. And there's something about this Bayern Munich team that makes me excited watching them. I wasn't fully sold on Vincent Kompany at first, but things have really turned around and they've started to look quite good, in my opinion. I think that they should have beaten Inter and gone through. There's just that defense does seem to let them down a little bit, as it did against a third tier side yesterday in the cup competition in Germany. But the other thing that worries me is if this man, Harry Kane, that you see here, if this man gets injured, they are lacking a lot of depth. We already know that Jamal Musiala is out. He's injured for a long time after that horrific break that he had in the Club World Cup. Leroy Sané, he left to Galatasaray. Matthijs Tel, his transfer to Tottenham was made permanent this summer. Thomas Muller has left. He's gone to Vancouver Whitecaps. He's playing in MLS now. Cool for us, not cool for Bayern Munich, right? So Bayern are hurting when it comes to depth in the attack right now. Like I was saying, if Kane goes down, what do you do? Do you put Luis Diaz in there? Does Vincent Kompany copy what Arne Slot was doing and play Luis Diaz as that man through the middle? He did fairly well with it, but a fully fit side. And for me, fully fit, no injuries, Bayern Munich are a top contender. I have them sort of in maybe the top four-ish of the teams in Europe that can compete, which is their ranking, actually. If you look at them, I mean, I'd have them above Manchester City, but Bayern, excuse me, Bayern are a team to watch, especially towards the end of this transfer window. Will anything happen? Will they bring someone in? I don't know. And their rivals, Borussia Dortmund, they need a favorable draw, in my opinion. Now, Borussia Dortmund changed things last season. They changed from Nuri Sahin, which just wasn't working. That was a friendly signing from the guys who had executive positions, who played alongside him in the past. I mean, there were some reasons to believe in him for what he did in Turkey, but didn't work out at all. They bring in Niko Kovac, which for me, I wasn't really a Niko Kovac fan, but I'm happy to admit when I've been proven wrong. So far, Niko Kovac has looked good at Borussia Dortmund. He made them more defensively sound, not this past weekend, but he also got the attack up and running again. Serhou Guirassy just scoring goals for fun, looking fantastic. That is another person that they need to be absolutely unbelievable in this league phase. Joe Bellingham, another new signing. They need him to get up and running. He still needs to settle, but he's shown that he is a very talented player and can add a lot. Funny enough, his parents got banned from going into the dressing room because they were mad that he got subbed at halftime. This is like some U11 stuff. And just a quick update for you guys. We are still waiting on the draw to begin. I know UEFA is doing their thing where they're, showing videos. They're showing skits because they do skits now. They're giving some sort of, I didn't actually see what the award was. I'm assuming it's kind of a lifetime achievement award type of thing for Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I missed that one, so I apologize. We'll see what that was. But yeah, they're taking their time getting into the draw. Once they get into the draw, we will lock in on that and have things updating live for you. But right now, we are still waiting on the draw to begin. So we'll hold off there. But let's talk about one of the teams that Zlatan Ibrahimovic actually played for in his career. Played for both of the Milan sides, known more for being an AC Milan player at this point, maybe. But Inter Milan. Now, Inter Milan absolutely embarrassed in the Champions League final last season. A historic beatdown in the Champions League final. Inzaghi leaves at the end of the season. The dressing room is beefing. You have Hakan Çalhanoğlu and Lautaro Martinez kind of trading sneak disses in the media, that kind of thing. You have Beppe Marotta, the CEO of Inter, saying, yes, Lautaro Martinez's vague comment was directed at Çalhanoğlu, so that wasn't helping things. But then they start signing young players. Sucic, in particular, remember the name. You'll be hearing a lot about him this season, playing in the midfield, looking like the absolute powerhouse in the midfield. They're starting to make their squad younger. And under Christian Kivu, they actually press effectively now. They started brilliantly this season against Torino. I think they won 5-0, and they've looked like a reinvented team. No more lax, pragmatic play. They're going after teams now. So Inter finished fourth last season with a great record. Remember, I think they only conceded 1 or 2 goals in the league phase. In fact, I have the numbers here. Let me see. They conceded 1 goal in the league phase last season. So an unbelievable defensive record. I don't know if they can keep that up, but I think that they're going to be scoring a lot more goals with Sucic in the midfield, providing a lot going forward. So Inter is a team that I think you need to keep your eye on. And just looking at the draw once again, we now have Ricardo Kaká joining the stage. Another AC Milan legend, a bit of an AC Milan theme to the night. Of course, AC Milan, where another CONCACAF representative plays, Christian Pulisic. Very interesting things happening at AC Milan for him in particular right now, because with the signing of Christian Nkunku, another Christian, double Christian in the attack, with the signing of Christian Nkunku, it does call into question how they're going to structure that attack now, because they were looking for a striker for so long. And then they signed someone of Nkunku's profile, which is more like he did play sort of a false nine inside sort of deep lying striker role or forward role, sorry, again at Leipzig in the past. So he has experience playing that way. But he's not exactly the striker they've been looking for. And will that change the role that Christian Pulisic is going to be able to play? I don't know. But Christian Pulisic is someone that they need to be playing based on how he played last season. He was one of their best, if not, you could make an argument for their best player last season, alongside maybe a Tajani Reinders, right? Him and Rafael Leão, what do you do in order to sort of accommodate them in the attack, as well as bring in Nkunku? Jimenez, is he going to be starting or will it be Nkunku through the middle, even though he kind of likes to play on the left? It's a lot of sort of question marks for Maxi Allegri to sort of find answers to. And the big one for me is, where will Christian Pulisic be playing? I'm very proud of myself for not saying Christian Nkunku right there, because I have been mixing them up in my brain, but apparently not in saying them. Who else have we got in Pot A? We've gone through Real Madrid. We've gone through PSG, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Inter, Chelsea, Dortmund, Barcelona. We've hit them all. I think a team that we could look at is Arsenal. You know, the team that I said is sort of an honorary Pot A side. Arsenal, like I said about Liverpool, I feel like Arsenal last season could have won the Champions League, right? If not for Gigio Donnarumma stopping absolutely everything, Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, Odegaard, getting down quick, stopping everything, making stops he should not make. I think that Arsenal probably could have made that final and then beat Inter there. This season, I don't know if they'll win the Premier League. Eze signing does make a difference. Just a quick aside here, I do see my boy Giorgio Marchetti, the guy who looks like Claudio Ranieri. He is on the stage. We do have balls on the stage, so the draw is going to be starting soon. But just getting back to Arsenal, I think that Eze will be a weapon in the attack, and he does take the heat away from Saka a little bit, because teams can't afford to just focus on defending that right side of Arsenal anymore, where Odegaard and Bukayo Saka are. Because when Bukayo Saka returns, I think he's going to have one of his best seasons yet, because there's more heat on the left side with Eze there and Victor Gyökeres going through the middle. They can't just focus all their defense on him. So he's going to have a little bit more room, a little bit more breathing space. At the tail end of last season, he was looking lethal. I think with Gyökeres through the middle as well, he will be able to sort of set him up a lot more. Victor Gyökeres, guy who I know very well, is a Benfica supporter because I saw him score against Benfica. Not too often, actually. We had a fairly good record against him, but I saw him absolutely torch the Primera Liga. I think that him and Saka will be linking up quite a bit as far as Saka's deliveries into the box for Gyökeres to get on the end of. And Gyökeres, as he's shown, over 100 goals in the last 2 seasons, insane numbers. He's shown already that he can score in the Premier League. He's shown that. I think he's going to pop off. I had him as the Golden Boot winner for the Premier League. We'll see how he does in Europe, because, you know, playing against these teams from Europe, against these pot 4 teams, or pot D teams, I should say, I think that I think that he'll score a lot of goals in the Champions League as well. I don't think he'll be the Golden Boot winner in the Champions League, but I think that him, Saka, Eze, this attack is going to be very scary, and Arsenal will be one of the teams to watch out for. Absolutely. They're up there with, I mean, definitely ahead of, would I put them ahead of Barcelona? No, not necessarily. Ahead of Dortmund, yes. Ahead of Chelsea, yes. For now, ahead of Inter. We'll see how Inter develops. Yeah, so I'd put them sort of in the top 5-ish, ahead of a team like City. For me, personally, still waiting on the draw to start, by the way. Marchetti explaining things. They're going into a video probably to explain the procedure. I've seen a ton of these draws. If that memory serves me right, yeah, they're going through the pots and they'll go through the procedure. But if you want to look at my ranking sort of the pot A teams, right now, assuming PSG can continue their form from last season, I think that they will continue to be the number one side to watch out for. Defending champions, put them at the top. Then I would put Barcelona. Barcelona has shown how good they can be. I mean, the one worry that I do have with Barcelona is that high line, and not having a Nico Martinez to sort of be the general back there to direct the rest of that back line. I think that they could run into issues there. but I do still have them just based on that attack and having a player like Lamine Yamal who can just change games in a moment. I have to put Barcelona in second there. Then I would put Liverpool based on how they played last season in the Champions League, based on the transfer window that they just had, and assuming that they get Isaac as well. Look, you could see in two matches, Barcelona have scored 6 goals already, full points. Was a little bit scary for them, a little bit scary in that second match, but they got there in the end, thanks to a little bit of Lamine Yamal magic in enforcing that own goal. So I would put them second behind PSG. Then I'd put Liverpool. Then I'd maybe put Real Madrid based on the sorry, just trying to figure out what they're showing. I'm seeing a big graph with all sorts of symbols and everything. They're just showing how the pots will go through. Okay. But based on what I've seen from Real Madrid so far, I would put them in there as well in sort of the top five. All right. So we will start the draw very, very soon here. It looks like they're going to draw Bayern first. That's sort of the word that I'm getting here. Um, but I think that the longest part of this draw will be pot one, but it will get faster from there. Things will move faster and faster and faster from pot one onward because for pot two, their pot one opponents will have already been drawn for them, will already be assigned to them. So they don't even need to draw those. For pot three, both pot one and two will have been drawn for them. So only pot three and four opponents will need to be drawn. And then so on and so on. So it gets faster and faster and faster. There's less needed from each pot that they get to. It looks like we are getting to the draw. How many times have I said that? Oh, we just got the here we go from the host. Here we go. It's time to start drawing. I immediately regret saying that because what do? They do exactly what UEFA does all the time. They say, here's pot one, and here's another video for you showing sort of highlights from each of the pot one teams, which again, as you can see on the screen, are PSG, Real Madrid, Manchester City. So those teams won in the last 3 years, correct? Yeah. Bayern, Liverpool, Inter Milan, Chelsea, Dortmund, and FC Barcelona. Those are the teams that will be drawn first. So we will know their entire schedules because they will draw two Pot A teams, two Pot B teams, two Pot C teams, and two Pot D teams. All right, so Bayern's draw is completed. Man City, Liverpool, Juventus, Benfica, Marseille, Olympiacos, Monaco, and Karat Almaty. That is Real Madrid's. Real Madrid's getting to go to the furthest east team in the competition against Karat Almaty. But let's see. Let's see. Inter. Here we go. Here we go. Inter. The draw is on. They're going to be playing against Liverpool, Borussia Dortmund, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid. That's a tough. Slavia Praha, Ajax. They get to play against Kairat as well. So they're going to be heading to the easternmost club in Europe and Union Saint-Gilloise, the Belgian side. The Kairat Almaty, just to give you guys an idea, they also, just to tell you how far it is, it's an 8-hour flight from London all the way to Kairat to get there, all the way to Almaty, I should say. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, Borussia Dortmund, they are coming up now. We'll see how who they get. We already know that they're going to be playing against Inter Milan. Borussia Dortmund, who, despite struggling at times in the Bundesliga last season, still did well in the Champions League. Now, they will also be playing against Manchester City from Pot A. Their Pot B teams are Villarreal and Juventus. Then we have Bodo Glimt, the debutants from the Arctic Circle. Tottenham are going to be up against Borussia Dortmund. And then Athletic Club and FC Copenhagen. FC Copenhagen. That These are some winnable matches for Borussia Dortmund. They definitely are. I mean, Villarreal, one of the sort of pot B teams that you'd kind of want to have out of all the choices, alongside maybe a Frankfurt or a Benfica even, or an Atalanta. So not too bad for them. Now, who are we drawing next? Who are we drawing next? Zlatan pulls it. Liverpool. Liverpool is coming up. So we already know they're playing against Real Madrid and Inter. So their Pot A teams are sorted, which are going to be great matches, by the way. I'm really looking forward to those ones. They played last season against Real Madrid and beat them, didn't they? Now, they will also be playing against Atletico Madrid, Eintracht Frankfurt, PSV Eindhoven, sorry, Marseille, Karabag from Azerbaijan, and Galatasaray, which is another trap team in Pot 4. So that is not going to be easy for them. But that is I mean, are any of the schedules easy? You know, the difference in this league phase is that Pot A teams play against Pot A teams, which never happened in the past. Pot A teams would never play against Pot A teams. So now they have to play against the big boys also. So it makes it more difficult for those Pot A teams. Now we are going to see Barcelona's schedule. Barcelona coming up. This is a big one. So they are already playing against Chelsea from Pot A. So we need one more Pot A team for FC Barcelona. FC Barcelona, Chelsea. That's a classic one from back in the day, hey? Classic one. Classic matchup. There's that sort of robbery at Stamford Bridge where we got the Didier Drogba, it's a disgrace meme. Now they're playing Chelsea, PSG. So I get my matchup: PSG, Barcelona, Eintracht Frankfurt, Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Praha, Copenhagen, and Newcastle United. If you're FC Barcelona, you're very happy with that draw. Those are all teams that they should be beating, bar, Paris and maybe, well, they should be beating Chelsea, in my opinion. PSG up in the air, but the rest, FC Barcelona should be winning those games. Should be, right? Like we said at the beginning, this is a cup competition. You never know what's going to happen, but I think you're happy with that draw if you are FC Barcelona. Now, PSG, the defending champions, we're going to see who they will be facing. We already know their Pot A teams. It's Bayern Munich and FC Barcelona, but we need to see the rest. So, oh, there we go. As you can see on screen, the live updates of what's happening here. So they will also be playing against Atalanta, Europa League winners from a couple of years ago, Bayer Leverkusen, Tottenham, Sporting, Newcastle United, and Athletic Club. That is a fun mix. That is a not so easy mix of teams to come up against, isn't it? Especially Atalanta, who we don't really know how they're going to be this year. They don't have Gasperini anymore, but PSG coming in as the champions, they have to expect to win all those matches, right? They have to back themselves to be able to beat all of those teams. Now, the final team that we're going to look at is Manchester City. Let's see who they will be up against. We already know that they're playing against Borussia Dortmund and Real Madrid. Manchester City, Real Madrid, these two teams just cannot avoid each other. They play each other every single year, and they will also be playing against Bayer Leverkusen, Villarreal, Napoli. Looking forward to that one. Bodo Glimt, Galatasaray, and AS Monaco. Whew. Napoli, champions of Italy. Antonio Conte typically struggles in Europe, but they have a very, very good team, don't they? Kevin De Bruyne will be playing against Manchester City, so that's something to look out for as far as storylines, right? That's going to be a fun one. Now, here we are. We have the Pot 1 fixtures all sorted. Looking at the grid, I'm getting excited for this, man. This is just seeing all these teams facing each other, scheduled to face each other, right? Is just going to be an unbelievable season once again. I personally was a big fan of the league phase, of this new way of the new format for the Champions League. It really, really worked out because, like I was saying, the pot one teams don't have any easy fixtures. They have to play against the most difficult teams, right? They have to play against the pot one teams. Some of the matchups that I'm really looking forward to, of course, like I said, Man City versus Real Madrid. That's always fun. Man City and Real Madrid have put up some classics for us in the past. Another one, Bayern Munich do not have it easy up against Chelsea. Sorry. Bayern Munich up against Chelsea and PSG. PSG and Bayern. Bayern actually lost or beat PSG last season in the league phase. That was when PSG were not looking good, right? Now we're going to get into pot two, so that's why we're just sort of like waiting here. Um, let's look at Real Madrid's fixtures real quick because they play against Man City, Liverpool, Juventus, Benfica, Marseille, Olympiacos, Monaco, and Kairat. That's difficult for them. That's difficult for Xabi Alonso. But again, none of these teams are going to have a very easy draw, right? There was one that stood out as an incredibly difficult group of teams. Um, Chelsea's does not. I mean, Chelsea's looks like it's going to be, well, not easy, but you're fairly happy with the teams that you have. Barcelona, difficult, of course. Bayern Munich, difficult, of course. Benfica, we'll see. They should be able to beat them. Atalanta should be able to beat them. Ajax should. Napoli, they're playing away against Napoli, so that can be very difficult, right? That is a tough stadium to go to, but Paphos they should beat and Karabag they should beat. So if you're looking at getting those 5 wins that we were talking about earlier, those 5 wins that sort of not guarantee you to get into the league phase, but definitely will put you on the right path to getting through to the knockout phase, at least the playoffs. It's looking like Chelsea will be able to do so. Now, the Group B draw, like I said, it's going to be, or the Pot B draw, I should say, Pot 2, is going to pick up right now, starting with Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen, who are they going to be up against? They're already up against PSG and Manchester City. So they'll be playing against Villarreal, SL Benfica, PSV, Olympiacos, Newcastle United, and FC Copenhagen for Bayer Leverkusen. Going to be tough for Mr. Eric Ten Hag, of course. I mean, I feel like I'm going to be constantly saying that. Going to be tough. It is. It's the Champions League, right? It's one of the most difficult competitions to win in the world. The most prestigious of the club competitions. So, Bayer Leverkusen, we know who you are playing. Arsenal. Let's see. This is a big one. Let's see who Arsenal will be playing against. Arsenal, we know they're playing Bayern Munich. We know they're playing Inter Milan. Who will they be playing from Pot B and onwards, or Pot 2 and onwards? So, Atletico Madrid, Club Brugge, Olympiacos, Slavia Praha, Kairat Almaty, and Athletic Club. Again, if you're Arsenal, I think you're pretty happy with that. I mean, Club Brugge is a tough one to call. They absolutely smashed Rangers. But the rest of the sides, I think you're relatively happy with that, right? I mean, going away to Inter, they did last season and things didn't go well. I believe they lost that match or they drew. I can't remember. But now we're going to see Atalanta, who after 9 years have a new coach, Gianpiero Gasparini leaving for AS Roma. So that is huge. We'll see how they do in this competition and Serie A in general. They were constantly top four. Let's see if they can hang on. So they get Club Brugge, Eintracht Frankfurt, Slavia Praha, Marseille, Athletic Club, and Union Saint-Gilloise. Teams that they can beat. Teams that they can beat typically, but they don't have Rotegi anymore. He went off to, I believe, was it Al Qadsiya, Saudi Arabia? So he's out, but they do have Skamaka. Now, Skamaka hasn't, I mean, he did play for over, or sorry, he was out for over a year. Get it straight. He was out for over a year. He is back. When he's available, he's good, but it's just a matter of him actually being available. Now we're drawing SL Benfica, my club. Everybody, please pray for me here. Hope for a good draw. We already know that they're playing against Real Madrid, Chelsea, and Bayer Leverkusen. That's already difficult. That's already difficult. Oh gosh. Let's see who they get. Kaká has pressed the button, and also Juventus, which we play often. We beat them last season. Napoli, Ajax, Karabag, and Newcastle United. Look at those top, what is that, five teams? Real Madrid, Chelsea, Leverkusen, Juventus, Napoli. Oh, tough matches. Very, very tough matches. Now, let's see. We have Club Brugge or Bruges, depending on which pronunciation you want to go with. So, they did make it into the knockout phase. Lost to Aston Villa, I believe it was. They already are playing Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, and Atalanta. And they will also be playing Marseille, Sporting, AS Monaco, and Kairat Almaty. Why does it feel like Kairat's playing every single team? I feel like I've been saying that name constantly. And they're playing that match away, so they get to go all the way east. They get to take that big flight, that big, big flight. Now, Eintracht Frankfurt are who we have coming up next. Always a tricky team. Of course, they lost that attacking duo of Marmoush and Hugo Ekitike, who were so good next to each other last season, right? Both of them gone. One at Liverpool, one at Man City, and they're going to be playing Liverpool, Barcelona, Atalanta, Atleti, Tottenham, Napoli, Galatasaray, and Karabag. That is incredibly difficult, isn't it? Very, very difficult for them. But hey, Eintracht Frankfurt, they, if anything, they find a way. They always find a new striker. They always find something. Now we have Juventus, who we know quite a few of the teams that they're playing already. Yeah, Eintracht Frankfurt, you cannot sleep on them. So Juventus are playing Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid, and Benfica. We know this of them already. Shout out Weston McKennie, American representation at Juventus. They are also going to be playing Villarreal, Sporting, Bodo Glimt, Paphos, and AS Monaco. Very competitive fixtures for them. Very, very competitive. Going to be interesting to see how they turn out this season with Igor Tudor as the coach. Also, Jonathan David from Canada as the striker for them, the Iceman. So you have Canada and America represented in Juventus. So far, so good. He scored in his first match. Now we have Atletico Madrid. Like I was saying earlier, a bit of a weird start to the season for them. A bit of a shaky start. We'll see how things go. People are saying that it looks like they have a bit of an identity crisis. We know they're playing against Inter, Liverpool, Frankfurt, and Arsenal so far. And they will also be playing against Bodo Glimt, so they get the pleasure of going to the Arctic Circle, PSV, Union Saint-Gilloise, and Galatasaray, which is never easy. They go away to Galatasaray, and we know how Galatasaray supporters are. They are lively, they are passionate, so that is not going to be easy for Atletico Madrid on that match day. Now we're going to see Villarreal. Is this the last one from Pot B? We already know they're playing Man City, Borussia Dortmund, Juventus, and Bayer Leverkusen. Let's see who they get in pots 3 and 4. They get Ajax, Tottenham Hotspur, Copenhagen, and Paphos. Again, very competitive matches for Villarreal. Man City will be difficult. I mean, we'll see. Room for a surprise there. But for the rest of them, very, very competitive matches for Villarreal. I think they've got to be happy with that one. Tottenham away will be difficult. We'll see. We'll see. Now we're going to move on to pot three. Like I said, it's going to go very quickly because the first four fixtures are already going to be drawn for these teams. So it's just going to be pots three and four, or C and D. Um, I'm liking what I'm seeing if I'm Villarreal. I'm just looking at all of the matchups here again. Juventus, Borussia Dortmund at home, Real Madrid away. I think that that's going to be a difficult one, but we'll see what Igor Tudor can do. You know, they have Gleison Bremer back, who is a very good defender, top defender in Serie A in 2022. Actually, won that award. So you never know with Juventus. You never know, especially with sort of a clinical striker, which has been an issue for them in the past few years. Then they go away to Benfica. We'll see. But I want to look at Arsenal's matchups again because they have a draw where I think, like I was saying, they're going to be happy with it. Bayern Munich, Arsenal can beat this Bayern Munich side. They can. Inter, Inter's a bit of a question mark because under new manager Christian Kivu, they're different. They press more. It's a different side. They played last season. I believe Inter beat them at the San Siro with a penalty. I believe they did. And then they play Atleti at home, which is good news for them because Atleti at the Metropolitano is a different animal. Club Brugge away, Arsenal's winning that match. Olympiacos at home, Arsenal should be winning that match. Slavia Praha, win. Kairat Almaty at home, thank goodness. They don't have to take that 8.5 hour flight. So they're playing Kairat Almaty at home, which is huge for them as far as the schedule goes because it's one less travel day, which is huge. And then Athletic Club. So yes, definitely. I won't give you my full prediction on the matches they'll win. We'll go over maybe some predictions a little bit later in the stream. Once we have all of the teams drawn and we know the entire roadmap for everything. But yes, I'm looking forward to this draw because we have Napoli, which we haven't seen come up too often in this draw. Chelsea's playing against them, of course, as well as Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Benfica. So Napoli is going to come up in this one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where they end up. Eintracht Frankfurt, as I was mentioning, Hugo Ekitike goes to Liverpool. Before that, Omar Marmoush goes to Manchester City. Every season this happens with them. They lose their striker and they just find another one that just pops off again and they end up selling him for 70 plus million euros. It's just a money factory there. They have one of the best sort of scouting departments in Europe when it comes to strikers, I think you could say at this point. So we'll see how they do. They are one of the teams that's playing up against Napoli now. Ricardo Kaká is on the balls. He's opening the balls. So the first one that he opens up is a little bit slower with it, but it's his first one. We'll give him time. Olympique de Marseille. So Marseille from France in the Champions League. The first, I should say now, the first French club to win the Champions League, as previously they were the only one until PSG won this past year. So they're playing Liverpool, Real Madrid, Atalanta, and Club Brugge. We know this. Who else? Zlatan, press that button, my friend. He does, and it's Ajax, Sporting, Newcastle United, and Union Saint-Gilloise. Union SG. That's not easy. And it's not going to be, I don't know if you guys saw what happened with Marseille, but Adrien Rabiot might be on his way, or is on his way out, after he got into a fight, a violent altercation with his teammate. So craziness at Marseille, as per usual. They're used to that kind of explosiveness, right? All right, Ricardo Kaká, you got to get a little bit quicker unfolding these papers. It's Tottenham Hotspur up next. Okay, let's see who Thomas Frank and the boys will be playing. We already know it's Borussia Dortmund. We know it's PSG. We know that it's Villarreal and Eintracht Frankfurt. Who else will they get from pots 3 and 4? Zlatan, with the push of a button, reveals Slavia Praha, Bodo Glimt, FC Copenhagen, and AS Monaco, which AS Monaco, we didn't speak about them, but they are interesting with some of the deals that they've been making. I think that Pogba is, would you believe it, injured once again, but hey, Pogba going against Tottenham once again, just like he did back at Manchester United. Now, Ricardo Kaká opens up the next ball. Bodo Glimt, one of the debutants in this competition, the Norwegian side, who, as I keep on saying, exists above the Arctic Circle, which is pretty wild. Very good side, though. Very good side. Playing up against Manchester City, Borussia Dortmund, Juventus, Atleti, and Tottenham. So we just need three more. Has the Champions League pattern changed again, says Comban? No, it has not. It is the same as last year. So you're going to have the league phase where you play 8 matches, home and away, 4 home, 4 away against different opponents. And then you have the knockout phase, which is the playoff, then round of 16, quarterfinal, semis, final, as usual. So nothing has changed from last year. We're still in the league phase. Musana says, sometimes I forget that it's no longer groups. Yeah. Do you miss the groups? Me personally, I did kind of miss the groups. I liked the little internal battles as we look at Sporting getting the draw right now. But I liked the league phase last season. I like seeing those pot one teams have to sweat a little bit. Now, Sporting will be playing PSG, Bayern Munich, Club Brugge, Juventus, Marseille, Napoli, Kairat Almaty, and Athletic Club. And Athletic Club. DDB says Galatasaray fixture is so unlucky. Yes, that's the team that you don't want in pot 4. You really don't want that. They are such a tough side with Osimhen, Leroy Sané, amongst all the other players they have there. I think Mauro Icardi is still there. Pretty crazy what they've done. Pretty crazy what they've done. We're moving on to Olympiacos now. Olympiacos play against Real Madrid, Barcelona, Leverkusen, and Arsenal. Not an easy first 4 teams. And then you have PSV, Ajax, Paphos, and Kairat Almaty. So a Cyprus club versus an Olympiacos, a Greek club. That will be interesting to watch, won't it? That will be one that sort of will be heated, won't it? That's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that matchup. One of the, not the big glitz and glam matchups like a Barcelona versus a PSG or something like that, but one of the matches that will probably deliver on drama just based on how heated it will be or should be. Now we're going to see AFC Ajax and who they will be playing up against. The rest of the teams will be playing up against because, as we know, they're playing against... Wow, we already know 6 of their teams. Inter, Chelsea, Benfica, Villarreal, Olympiacos, and Marseille. So it's Galatasaray that they get to play at home. They'll be happy for that. And Karabag, the Azerbaijani side. Now, London Paris says, to favor the teams that finish within the top 8, they will play more games at home, right? No, I don't think so. I think that they play 4 at home and 4 away. So it's the same for all of them. Yes, Otto, I do believe that they will be drawing the schedule as well, or that might come out in the next 24 hours or something. I think last year it came out 24 hours later. We have Slavia Praha here up against Barcelona, Inter, Arsenal, Atalanta, Bodo Glimt, and Tottenham, as well as Athletic Club and Paphos. So yes, I believe the schedule will come out tomorrow, but I could be wrong on that one. We'll see what happens towards the end of this draw here. Almost done with the pot 3 sides. We just have PSV and Napoli left, and up next is PSV Eindhoven. So PSV, kind of a tricky side last season, a bit of a tricky side. They have lost Bakayoko, who's gone to RB Leipzig, which is wild. I did not expect that. They will also be playing Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Atleti, Leverkusen, Napoli, Olympiacos, Union Saint-Gilloise, and Newcastle United. PSV, that is a pretty tough group. Pretty tough group. Okay, so the schedule is coming out on a Saturday now. So in a couple of days, 48 hours from now, we can look forward to the schedule and see when each match day is. Next up, SSC Napoli. They're playing Chelsea. They're playing Man City. They're playing Frankfurt, Benfica, Sporting, and PSV. 2 trips to Portugal, or well, two matches against Portuguese sides, I should say, one trip. They're also playing Karabag and FC Copenhagen. Well, Napoli. That's going to be tough for good old Antonio Conte, who famously does not do well in Europe. That's one of the big sort of marks against him is that his teams tend to struggle in Europe. He did make the Europa League final during the COVID season with Inter, but they lost against Sevilla. So I believe it was 3-2. Um, he's yet to sort of find his way in Europe. Last season, they didn't have any European competitions to play. By the way, we are sort of in between. They're just showing the video of the Pot D teams, Pot 4 teams. But yes, Napoli didn't have any European football to play last season, which definitely helped them. If anything, it helped to sort of drain Inter Milan. Those boys looked defeated by the end of the season, just out of gas. From like March onward, they were starting to show signs of being fatigued. So that helped Napoli. We'll see how things go in this next season. Now, the Pot D teams, FC Copenhagen, AS Monaco, Galatasaray, Union Saint-Gilloise, tricky team, Karabag, Athletic Club, Newcastle, and Paphos and FC Karat Almaty. Already, I can tell you, you want to avoid Newcastle United. They can put in a performance. You want to avoid Galatasaray, especially if you have to go away against Galatasaray. And you want to potentially avoid AS Monaco. We'll see how they turn out. Newcastle United, even if they lose Isaac, they're still going to be very difficult, right? They've shown like the last time they were in the Champions League, they were in a group with PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and AC Milan, and they still were competitive, right? So Newcastle United is a team that you cannot sleep on because Eddie Howe has shown time and time again, no matter how many players he has injured, like last season, no matter who he has in his squad, he can set them up to win games, or at the very least, be incredibly competitive. So Newcastle United is a difficult team, not the greatest start to their season, right? Just 1 point, two scored, one or three against. Next up, though, they do play against Leeds United, so a chance for them to get up and running. We'll see if they sign another striker. As we look at Athletic Club's draw here, they're playing against PSG, Borussia Dortmund, Arsenal, Atalanta, Sporting, Slavia, Karabag, and Newcastle United right there. So that will be a pretty good game, actually. Athletic Club, as we know, they have that policy of only using Basque players. Should be a difficult team to play against, as they always are. Now, who do we have next? We have, I got to say, Zlatan was much faster with it with these balls than Ricardo Kaká. Karabag, the Azerbaijani side. We're an hour in. They really they only started the draw half an hour into this thing. Now, Karabag will play Chelsea, Liverpool, Frankfurt, Benfica, Ajax, Napoli, Copenhagen, and Athletic Club. Will Karabag provide some shocks, some surprises as they have in the past? Let's see. Maybe something like Sheriff Tiraspol did a couple of years ago, you know? Now, AS Monaco. They are next, as I said, an interesting team to watch. They have Man City, they have Real Madrid, Juventus, Club Brugge, Tottenham, and Bodo Glimt so far. With the press of a button, we find out they are also playing Galatasaray at home and Paphos away. This Paphos side is one that I'm curious to watch a little bit more of as they overcame Red Star, a team who's constantly in the Champions League, it feels like lately. They overcame them. So let's see what they can do. Like I said, this is going incredibly fast because they just draw the last two teams. Granted, with how they just press the button and the teams come up quickly, it went pretty fast in pot one as well. Now, Galatasaray will play against Liverpool, Man City, Atleti, Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, Ajax, Union Saint-Gilloise, and AS Monaco away. Galatasaray up against Liverpool. Hamdan asked, will Barca face PSG? Yes, they will. One of the matchups that I think everyone wanted to see last season is going to happen this season. PSG will play Barcelona. Now we get to see who Newcastle United will be playing against, the final team to round out their teams. We have Barcelona, we have Paris, we have Benfica, Leverkusen, PSV, Marseille, Athletic Club, and the final one, not an easy one, Union Saint-Gilloise. Not the easiest one. Hamdan also asks, is Madrid playing Liverpool? Yes, they are playing against each other once again. A rematch from last season. We'll see how it goes this season. So we are getting some nice matchups, aren't we? We are getting some nice matchups in this league phase. Some big blockbusters. Now, Union Saint-Gilloise, they are up next as far as who we will see they draw. They actually have all their teams. So Inter, Bayern, Atalanta, Atleti, Marseille, PSV, Newcastle, and Galatasaray. Zlatan didn't even need to press the button this time. He gets to take this round off. But yes, Saint-Gilloise, of course, like I said, promised David playing there, doing incredibly well. As we get to the final few teams here, where there's just three left, who do we have next? Paphos FC, the team that I said I was going to be a little bit interested in as they overcame Red Star. We do need to see who they're playing. Just one more team, I believe, as they're playing Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Villarreal, Juventus, Slavia Praha, Olympiacos, Monaco, and Kairat Almaty. And Zlatan with the no-look button press there, just throwing a little bit of sauce on it. Why not? You know, it's been a long draw. Spice it up a little bit. Spice it up a little bit. So two more teams left. Come on, Ricardo. He has gotten better. If we're going to judge his performance as a ball opener, Ricardo Kaká has gotten better. Um, so FC Copenhagen or Copenhagen, it's written differently every single time. They just need one more team. So they're playing Dortmund, Barcelona, Leverkusen, Villarreal, Napoli, Tottenham, Kairat Almaty, and Karabag. I believe Kairat is the final team that we need to see. Like a second ever Kazakh team to make it in. Easternmost team in this Champions League. I mean, it's a footy crazy area. There was a wedding that was going on that paused their wedding to put on the big screen the shootout between them and Celtic. Unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable. So they're playing Real Madrid, Inter, Club Brugge, Arsenal, Olympiacos, Sporting, Paphos, and Copenhagen. You couldn't ask for a better, more star-studded list than that, right? I mean, maybe you could. There's from pot two, but Real Madrid at home, Inter away, Club Brugge at home, Arsenal away. That's fun. That's fun. So the draw is complete, guys. We have every single team's schedule. So let's go to one of the biggest ones, to one of the teams that everyone wants to see who they're playing. Let's look at Real Madrid, as we'll bring them up on the screen there and look at their schedule here. So Real Madrid will be playing against Man City at home. And for me, that's a win because I think that Man City's defense is just going to let them down once again. So I see Real Madrid beating Man City at home. Liverpool away. This one's harder to call. I think that Real Madrid will be better this season, but I don't know that they'll be good enough to beat Liverpool. I think that Liverpool will still be very strong defensively, especially, and in the attack, Ekitike is looking good. Real Madrid's defense, I still don't know about it just yet. Tchouaméni in the midfield is better, but I think that one will be a draw. So one win, one draw so far. Juventus at home, Real Madrid wins that one for me. I think Real Madrid can overcome this Juventus side, even though they have, maybe more of a pragmatic manager in Igor Tudor. And a better striker in Jonathan David. I still think Real Madrid wins that one. So 2-1. Then they have Benfica away. Real Madrid's beating Benfica. That's my team. I know they're going to beat Benfica. Maybe an upset, but we'll see. I think they will. So that's 1, 2, 3 wins and a draw. Then we have Marseille at home. I think they'll beat Marseille as well. Marseille's in a bit of a explosive state right now with how things are going. Olympiacos away. They win that match. Monaco at home. I think they win that one. And Kairat, I think they win that one. Now, will they win all those matches that I said? I'm sure I'll be wrong about some of them, but those are very winnable fixtures for Real Madrid. So let's go over them again. I had them beating Man City at home because I do not trust Man City's defense in this moment. And I think that this attack will be up and running for sure by the time that these matches come around. It's already looking good. You know, Rodrigo playing alongside Mbappe and Vinicius coming on later in the match, setting up Mbappe, looking good in the attack. I think they beat Man City. Liverpool away. I think that Liverpool will be just as difficult. I do think that Real Madrid will be better than last season against Liverpool, but I think that with the improvements that they make, Liverpool has also improved, haven't they? And they will also have more of their players settled, like a Florian Wirtz and an Ekitike. This one, to me, smells like a draw. Juventus at home, I think Real Madrid will win this one, even though Juventus have improved, especially defensively, especially with this new manager who's a little bit more, better at setting them up defensively. He's used to managing sort of lower table teams, so he knows how to set up against big sides. I think that Real Madrid will still be too much. Going away to Benfica, look, Benfica, as good as they have been in the qualifying and as much as they have improved this season, I just worry about us defensively up against a Kylian Mbappe, a Vinicius, etc. Marseille at home, I think that they're going to beat Marseille at home because Marseille's in such an explosive state right now under De Zerbi, Rabiot leaving, etc. So Real Madrid to take advantage of that. Olympiacos away. I don't know if I need to explain that one too much. I think that they will be able to overcome Olympiacos, even if they are playing away. It might be difficult for them, given the sort of atmosphere there. But up against Monaco at home, I see that as a win. And then away against Kairat Almaty, maybe this is one of those games where they're already through. This is what I'll say. Maybe this is a game where they're already through. They rotate their squad, and Kairat Almaty playing against Real Madrid at home in these conditions gets a draw. So let's say a draw for that one just to make it a little bit fun. Wow, I didn't have them losing against anybody except, yeah. No, I didn't have them losing against anybody. Although we did have a little bit of an error there. They are not playing against Club Brugge. That should be a different side. Now, let's go to Chelsea. Let's move on to them. Where are they in the list? Here we go. Moving on to Chelsea now. Chelsea, just going through who they play, first of all, they play against Barcelona, they play against Bayern Munich, they play against Benfica, they play against Atalanta, they play against Ajax, they play against Napoli, they play against Paphos, they play against Karabag, and they also will have high hopes for this one because I see them as one of the teams that, like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, in case you missed it, I see them as sort of this dark horse team in this competition. Why do I say that? Because they were up against teams they should be beating, yes, in the Conference League, but they won the thing. In the Club World Cup, coming up against much stronger opposition, they won the thing, including beating the reigning European champions PSG 3-0 in the final. They have a guy like Cole Palmer in there who can provide some magic. They have Estevão, this young Brazilian, 18 years old, who already looks comfortable in the Premier League of all places, showing that he can conjure up magic. They have João Pedro, who's looking comfortable in that attack, an instant slot. So Chelsea are looking good. Barcelona is the first team that they play, and they're playing them at home. I think that Barcelona with Lamine Yamal, etc., will get the win against Chelsea. So a loss in that one is what I foresee. Now going away to Bayern Munich, this is a match where I think that Chelsea can do fairly well. I think that Bayern, assuming they don't have any crazy injuries in the attack, if they do, then Chelsea's winning this match. But other than that, I see Chelsea getting a draw against them. At home against Benfica, look, as much as I'd like to think that Benfica can beat Chelsea, there's a bit of heat between the two sides. They did play in the Club World Cup, and Chelsea did get that win after Benfica got some red cards and got themselves in trouble. Chelsea's winning that match at home against Benfica. So that's a win. Atalanta away, I think that Atalanta is going to struggle a little bit without Gasperini and without Retegui, so I see Chelsea beating Atalanta. Ajax at home, this is one that Chelsea should be winning, right? Ajax is an improved side, changed their manager once again after their manager left last season. It started so well, it looked like they're going to win the league, and then they didn't. I see Chelsea beating Ajax. Napoli away, I think that that one will be difficult. I can see Antonio Conte getting revenge against his old team and setting up Chelsea to, or sorry, his old team is Chelsea, setting up Napoli to defeat Chelsea. I think they'll get a loss away to Napoli. And then against Paphos at home, that's a win for Chelsea. Against Karabag away, that's probably a win for Chelsea as well. So to close it out, I have a loss against Napoli, a win against Paphos, and then a win against Karabag away. Now, Jesus Villalpando, sorry for that, is disagreeing with me there, saying that Chelsea will destroy Barca. That's a big one. Um, Look, they destroyed PSG in the final. It's not out of the realm of possibility. They could take advantage of that high line against Barcelona. Anything can happen when you're playing against Barcelona, right? They can leak a ton of goals as they do against, lesser opponents in La Liga, or they can absolutely destroy teams. So that could go either way. We'll see. We'll see who's right, Jesus. We'll see who's right, right? Sham 1983 says Arsenal can't win this competition, will be his last season. That's Arteta you're talking about. Yeah, this season is the one where he has to win silverware. If he does not win silverware this season, it's over for Arteta. But I do think they will be very competitive in the Champions League, just with that new attack, more danger down the left, so not all of the heat is on Saka. I think Arsenal will be difficult. Dreadlord says Benfica will cook Chelsea. Amen. I'd love to see it. Richard Rios is looking good. Pavlidis is looking good once again. Benfica in general is looking good. I'd love to see it. It could happen, right? Benfica can deliver against these bigger teams in competitions. Bruno Lage does set them up well, but the most likely outcome is Benfica losing. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not overly confident that Benfica can get a win against Chelsea. Now, I believe we're going to do some more predictions. I'm not so sure, but if we aren't, Liverpool is the one that I would like to talk about. So we are going to. Liverpool is next. So if we're looking at who they're playing, just quickly, you have Real Madrid, you have Inter, you have Atleti, you have Frankfurt, PSV, Marseille, Karabag, and Galatasaray. So winnable. Um, Another Liverpool win versus Madrid at Anfield, says Marwan Sameh. I don't know, man. um, I say they draw? I think I said they draw. So I got to keep it. This is going to be the difficult part, is remembering what I said about other teams. I believe, Marwan, that I said that they draw, unless you were speaking to someone else in the chat there, which I can't be sure. But when you look at Liverpool's incoming fixtures, what are we thinking? What are we thinking in the chat? How many wins do you think that they'll get? Do you think they'll get that 5, 6? Or were they going to top the league once again? It's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult. Mason says Liverpool winning 5 matches. So Mason on it right away. 5 of the matches. Would love to know what you think. As far as I'm concerned, I think they beat the pot 3 and 4 teams, no problem. So then it's just getting a win from the rest of them, and I think they can do 6. I think they can do 6. I believe last season their record was 7-1. I don't think they'll get that. So let's look at this right now. We have Liverpool playing against Real Madrid first off, and that one I said is going to be a draw. Then they have Inter away, Inter, this mystery side that we don't know how things are going to go for them. I think that Liverpool do find a way to beat Inter as well. So I think that they're 1-1 right there. Atleti at home, Atleti has provided surprises, haven't they? They have provided surprises at home against Liverpool at Anfield, as you'll remember. Morata with the knee slide, all that. But this Atleti side is still figuring things out. Alvarez could be scary in the attack for the Liverpool defense, but I think that Liverpool playing at home beat Atleti. Frankfurt away, this one feels like a trap match. This one I'm going to say will be a draw. Just because Eintracht Frankfurt, they find a way to just constantly be a nuisance and find some striker from anywhere that will start banging in the goals. So I think that Frankfurt away could be a draw for them. Now, PSV at home, that should be a win. They should be able to deal with them fine. Arne Slot knows PSV very well. He knows the manager very well. I think that PSV is a win for Liverpool. Marseille. This is one where they're playing away at the Stade Velodrome, and the Stade Velodrome is a very difficult place to go to. Um, I don't know that this will be a. I think they'll still beat Marseille just because of the quality of Liverpool right now, and I think they'll only get better as time goes on this season with all the new signings gelling in: Frimpong, Kerkez, Verts, Ekitike, etc. I think that they win that match. Ketebeg, they win. Galatasaray away. I think I'm going to say the same thing. I think they're going to rotate their squad, assuming this is the last match, makes it difficult. But assuming this is the last match, they're going to rotate their squad and they're going to lose against Galatasaray away. So they don't get the 7 wins like they did last time, but they get 5 plus 2 draws, which would have been good enough for the top 8 in last season's competition. So I still see them getting top 8 this season as well. Now, hashtag Danny says Liverpool will lose 3 games. Would love to know which games you think that they're going to lose. Like I said, anything can happen in a cup competition, right? Liverpool, just because they were good last season, could be really bad in this competition this season and could just go all in on the Premier League. We'll see. I don't see that happening personally, but it can happen, right? Snoopy the Chien says Tottenham is the surprise this year, and they very well could be under Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank has shown that he can adapt. He's played with different formations in his matches so far in the Premier League, and he's won both of them. He's getting good players in. We'll see if they get Xavi Simons in. That's the new thing that could be happening, or Simons could end up going to Chelsea as was expected all summer. But if they get Xavi Simons as well, that's massive for their attack. Absolutely huge. They already have Mohamed Kudus, who plays down the right. Simons can play sort of in that central left area that he likes to occupy. That could be scary. That could be very, very scary. Dreadlord says Arsenal has easy fixtures, no excuses. Vedox says Chelsea beat the best team of Europe 3-0. Yeah, like we said, it is possible that they can beat Barcelona. Like I was saying, they did beat PSG 3-0 in the final. But Dreadlord says that Arsenal has easy fixtures. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at those easy fixtures. Where are you, Arsenal? Here we go. Bayern Munich is the first team that they play against. I believe playing against Bayern Munich at home, they should be able to beat them. They really should be able to beat them. I think that they will beat them. So I'm going to say a win for Arsenal there. Inter away, I believe, like I said, last season that they played away against them and they lost thanks to a penalty, I think. I can't quite remember, but I think that going away to Inter will be difficult once again. This Inter team is looking fantastic. They really are. So I'm going to say that Inter actually beats Arsenal with the upset there. They were looking fantastic, man. I don't know what to tell you. The Sucic in midfield, watch out for him. He's going to be wanted by everybody. Atleti at home, Arsenal beat Atleti at home. Club Brugge away, they beat Club Brugge away, in my opinion. Olympiacos at home, they win that one. Maybe you're right, Dreadlord, because the rest of the matches, I think they're gonna win them. So Slavia Praha away, they win that match. Kairat at home, they have to win that match. They have to win that match. And then Athletic Club away, they'll draw that match. Athletic Club, very difficult side. So I think that they will be struggling to get the big win against them there. So I have them getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins, a draw, and a loss. So they are in the top 8, maybe one of the top teams, actually. Yeah, I think that Arsenal, like I said, will be one of the top teams, one of the top contenders. And guys, top stream today. Really, really appreciate you all coming out and joining me for this. There you have it. You now have access to all of the teams that your team is playing against. As we mentioned, the schedule is apparently coming out on Saturday, so be on the lookout for that so that you know all the match days, kickoffs, etc., who you're playing in what order. You can then compare that with your domestic schedule. Are you playing a big game in the Premier League, for example? Then you have to fly all the way to Kairat Almaty or something like that. So be on the lookout for that. But beyond that, I want to thank you all for joining me and for watching along. There was a lot of delays in this stream, but we got there in the end. My name is Adrian, aka Rabona TV, over on YouTube. Keep it locked on Bleacher Report for more streams from across the world of sports and enjoy the football. Take care, guys.